learn how to make your money work smarter for you.
This is the start of something big. It's one of the most anticipated events of the year. The waiting is over. The Champions League is back.
Another big night of European football.
Can Chelsea join Arsenal and champions Manchester United? Will it be a British hat-trick, competing for the greatest honour in Europe? ITV brings you the big match live. Chelsea versus Skonto Riga, tonight at 8.
Hello, good morning. It's Wednesday, the 11th of August, and welcome to a day of special live broadcast. Well, what an amazing day we've got lined up for you at 10:30, Eclipse Live, aided by state-of-the-art cameras and expert astronomers. Richard Bath is at Pendennis Castle in Falmouth, and Alison Johns is in Truro. This is the only place for exclusive regional broadcasting. I hope you'll stay with us. Here we go. Eclipse, the final countdown. Hello, good morning and welcome to Pendennis Castle in Falmouth and to Westcountry Television's Eclipse coverage. Now, throughout the morning we're going to be counting down to the main event. We're less than 2 hours away now and, weather permitting, we'll bring you pictures of the eclipse as it builds in the corner of the screen. In the next half hour, the moon will start to move in front of the sun, with the total eclipse happening at around 11 minutes past 11. So the countdown is well and truly on. Here in Falmouth, the crowds have been building all night long. We have a live camera on board a helicopter and one also out in the bay on board HMS Shetland. We'll be bringing you reports from around the region. Also, we have 6 special eclipse cameras pointing at the sky right across Devon and Cornwall, and one also in a Hercules aircraft to make sure you get the best images of the event live.
I'm at Truro School with the British Astronomical Association, and here's our expert, Dr. John Mason. Very soon, John, that great shadow is going to be coming across Truro.
Indeed. And as we speak, it's racing across the Atlantic Ocean towards us at supersonic speed. And in just over half an hour, the moon will begin to slide across the face of the sun and the excitement will begin.
Very exciting. Of course, we don't just have cameras down here in Cornwall. We also have teams standing by across Devon.
We're here reporting from the Hoe in Plymouth, where thousands are lining the foreshore for this spectacular event. Are you excited, Ian?
I really am, yeah. I'm also talking to a guy who was there in 1927 for the first eclipse, and it's his 84th birthday today. He's going to be with us.
And Ron and I are at the heart of the English Riviera here in Torquay.
Looking at the eclipse and beyond. What can it mean for your future?
A flavour there of what's coming up. So here's how the morning looks. In a moment we have Eclipse, a programme looking at the phenomenon of the amazing event. Then, after the national news at 10:30, we're here to bring you the eclipse live. And after that, to get you in the party mood, rock around the living room with Videotech Eclipse Special, our compilation of eclipse-themed tunes. But first, here's Eclipse, tales from along the line of totality.
The greatest spectacular in our solar system. A total eclipse of the sun. As Europe awaits the last solar eclipse of the millennium, there are chilling concerns. Will Atlantic cloud obscure this celestial conjunction? Astronomers cross their fingers. The more superstitious, the astrologers predict doom. Even Shakespeare worries.
These late eclipses in the sun and moon portend no good to us. Brothers divide, and the bond cracks twixt son and father. The bond crack!
August 11th, 1999. At 1.5 times the speed of Concorde, the shadow of the moon streaks across Europe. That shadow starts far out in the North Atlantic, where the ghost of the Titanic still sails unforgiving seas. It sank just 3 days before an eclipse in 1912, a victim of an iceberg. Cutting north over the wreck, a cruise liner seeks out our new Eclipse. At sunup, astronomer David Levy is on watch. He and 700 enthusiasts hope to be the first on Earth to watch this partial phase of the eclipse go total. High above, 3 Concordes chase the shadow across the Atlantic. For the privilege of clear skies and a little more totality, passengers pay $2,500 a seat. Totality misses Ireland, but the Irish don't miss totality. The answer is in Eclipse Armada, sailboats and fishing vessels surging towards the path of totality. "80 kilometers south into the Atlantic, with the moon about to steal the sun, what better reason for a ceilidh?" First landfall, the Isles of Scilly, off England's southwest peninsula. From this Atlantic shore to the Black Sea, more people than ever before are about to witness a total eclipse. For this astronomer, totality is matchless, an experience Europe must embrace.
The difference between a 99% partial and a total eclipse is everything. You've got to experience totality. Everybody should see a total eclipse at least once in their life. It really is an assault on all of your senses. That 2 minutes will seem like 20 seconds, it goes so fast.
On the English mainland, Latter-day Druids perform a pre-eclipse ritual.
When the sun is taken from us, we journey through to the lands of the blessed.
Their incantations are to the sun and moon, gods whose conjunction they plead should be a force for good. From southwest England to northeast France, where the Band of Totality, over 100 kilometers wide, blesses one of the triumphs of Christendom, Reims Cathedral. It's here for nearly 2 minutes that the moon will completely obscure the sun. And it's here that an astrophysicist becomes a romantic, Hubert Reeves.
To see the sun disappearing in full day is something very impressive. Something that everyone should see at least once in his life. Of course, the eclipse will be visible on the large territory at 90%, 95%, 99%. But it is very important to see it at 100%, namely in this totality zone, because I would say the difference is like a friendly kiss or a night of passion.
9 months after the Passion, the result can be childbirth. And if it coincides with a total eclipse, some believe the child will be especially gifted. In Munich, these German women are well within the path of totality. Who knows what genius they may deliver on August the 11th? Meanwhile, across the border, the king of eclipses, and this is where he'd like to watch.
Seeing an eclipse of the sun from a helicopter above the Austrian Alps would have to rate perhaps as one of the greatest things you could possibly see. Stunning!
Eastwards to Hungary, and to an uninhibited sense of celebration. The eclipse is free, let's enjoy it. School children mark out the centre line of totality. They'd like to do it right across Europe and raise money for peace. But grown-ups, as usual, see problems. To Transylvania, and a terrible problem for Hollywood's Count Dracula. His legendary castle is just off the path of totality. Nevertheless, at the height of the eclipse, the skies will darken here. Mistaking it for nightfall and ever in search of blood, will the undead vampire be lured from his sleep? And moments later, as the skies brighten again, will Dracula finally perish? In the real world, Romania is good news. Bucharest has the only major observatory along the path of totality. It draws top astronomers like America's Jay Pasachoff.
We've come to Romania because the long-range weather forecasts are the most favorable here from all of Europe. And it's rare that there's a giant telescope in the path of totality, so the chance to use this telescope with the Bucharest Observatory is very unusual.
Travel out from the sun and you understand why an eclipse is so special. Neither Mercury nor Venus has a moon. Bathed in sunlight, Venus casts a shadow, but no moon casts a shadow on Venus. Earth has a moon, and every 18 months or so, when it gets in the way of the sun, the moon casts a shadow on Earth. The result is a total eclipse of the sun. First the partial phase, as the moon slides across the solar disk. Then the diamond ring. The moon is shutting off the powerhouse of the planets. Totality. And it happens because the sun is 400 times larger than the moon, while the moon is 400 times closer to us than the sun. Another diamond ring, and the sun returns. This astonishing cosmic coincidence is addictive, not just to casual observers, but to hardened professionals.
The quality of the light, both immediately before totality and during totality, is really very strange. The sky is a deep blue-purple colour. The brighter stars and planets come out. Around the horizon, you often get the colours, reddish oranges of sort of a twilight band as the shadow moves across.
You really want to be there just for when it gets very dark abruptly at that particular time during totality, and it's not hard to tell. It gets gradually darker, very gradually for an hour or so, and then right at totality it gets all of a sudden 10,000 times or more darker, and then you look for those 2 minutes without any eye protection.
For me, it's just fascinating. I want to be there. I have to be there.
People are like this, says the astronomer. They watch with their mouths open for the first second or even the first minute. They're astounded.
Even from the very beginning, even the hours before, you see all these people who are there preparing their instrument, and there is a sort of a tension. Everyone watches his watch, and as the time goes on, as you see the sun is slowly darkened by the moon, gradually darkened, And then, at the moment that the eclipse is total, you see the sky, which is full of white bands, what we call the corona of the sun. And then, at the moment that the sun reappears, there is a sign of immense relief among all the people who are there. Cheers. This is one of the most important moments of the eclipse, just after when the sun reappears, and this human experience of having shared something which is very deep and having a sort of a need to talk to each other, to share this experience.
We'd have many more eclipses if it weren't for the tilted orbit of our moon. It's angled by 5 degrees to the plane of both Earth and the Sun. During each orbit of Earth, the moon twice intersects that plane. Here and here. But only on the sunny side of Earth, at this intersection, can a solar eclipse occur. Imagine you, the viewer, are the sun. The moon approaches alignment. Another total eclipse. It happens about 70 times a century. And when it does, it's the dark inner shadow cast by the moon that causes totality. As Earth, Moon and Sun align for our eclipse, the inner shadow is creating totality. The outer shadow, from the Arctic to the Sahara, delivers a partial eclipse. Above the great Gothic cathedral at Reims, the moon will completely obscure the sun for precisely 1 minute 59 seconds. To a scientist like Hubert Reeves, it's a joy. To others, influenced by a 16th century Frenchman, it's a worry.
When we speak about eclipses, of course, it is natural to speak of Nostradamus. Nostradamus has talked about this eclipse that is occurring this summer. He knew about the date, which is, of course, no big deal because the Babylonians already knew how to predict eclipses. What he says about this eclipse, however, what he calls the advent of the third Antichrist, I don't know very much what that means, but I only think that people have a particular talent to see faces in the clouds.
And from those clouds, according to one interpretation, will come a great king of terror. Of the myth and magic surrounding our eclipse, nothing has caught fire like Nostradamus. More than 400 years ago, in Salon de Provence, Nostradamus wrote his famous quatrains, 4-line verses that predict the future. There are more than 1,000, full of allegory and illusion. Nostradamus gives few dates, but he mentions July 1999. Given the changing calendars since his time, a shift of 11 days, he could well be referring to August 1999. And since Nostradamus was fascinated by eclipses, it's conceivable the event he predicts is our eclipse. From the skies shall come a great king of terror, he seems to say. Our eclipse, perhaps? Immediately followed by a missile on a collision course with Earth? For Nostradamus, like most in his day, an eclipse signaled trouble. The director of the Nostradamus Museum agrees that the great king of terror was evoked by eclipses or comets. They warned of dangerous events like wars, pests and famine. The great king of terror, she says, may very well be the eclipse. Invasion from the east, an impact from space, Nostradamus leaves us guessing. Today, there are gentler soothsayers. One has cast a horoscope for countries along the line of totality. It starts with Britain and the royal family. The Queen's not eclipsed.
But it does mean that a very powerful spotlight is put on the royal family, particularly since so many members of the royal family are Leos or have Leo strongly highlighted within their maps. Princess Margaret is a Leo, the Queen Mother is a Leo. Prince Charles has Leo as his rising sign, and therefore we could be looking at the beginning of the end of the monarchy. Certainly if I were a member of the royal family, I would not choose to be in Cornwall on the day.
La Belle France, and her horoscope shows agitation in the wake of the eclipse.
This is a highly revolutionary eclipse for France. I think that there could be a lot of disruption in the 6 months that follows the eclipse. Things like strikes, extreme left-wing socialist protests, all of that kind of thing, which could be quite difficult and disruptive. And there are shades of 1968 and the student riots.
Germany's prospects just get better and better.
But it also suggests that within this abundance, Germany will have something to teach the rest of us about why it's such a highly productive country.
Austria must look a lot more lively.
I'm very worried about poor old Austria, actually, because this eclipse focuses very strongly on the area of communication, and not in an entirely positive way. I very much hope that they are doing more about the millennium bug at this stage than they appear to be doing, because it seems to me that it is one country not to be in at midnight 2000.
Hungary, in the 6 months following the eclipse, tough decisions.
It would appear from Hungary's birth chart that the economy is being grossly mismanaged currently, and this eclipse is the wake-up call which will make everybody aware of the problem and what to do about it.
Romania, and the need for external support for internal problems.
This eclipse will show Romania very clearly where her true responsibilities internally, in terms of the running of the country, lie, what she can do about it, where she can seek help that ultimately will give her stability and independence.
The planets may influence astrology. They play little role in an eclipse. The star of that show is the sun. And what is the sun? Deep inside is a nuclear furnace fusing hydrogen into helium. Each second, the sun loses 4 million tons of mass, matter unleashed as energy. That energy powers the solar system. It fuels all life on Earth. This colossus is our local star. Most of us only see it as such at the time of a total eclipse. Astronomers get a different view, like the spots that periodically pock the solar face. Sunspots are sites of magnetic activity. Magnetic force lines burst from the sun and swirl through space. The sun has an 11-year cycle of sunspot activity. Here it builds towards maximum, and that's exciting for eclipses.
This eclipse will take place near the sun's maximum phase of sunspot activity, called solar max. And during solar max, you tend to get a solar corona which is very active. It has long streamers and spikes radiating out in a circular direction. Often you get a lot of prominences during solar maximum. So the eclipse offers to be even more spectacular and more beautiful than just your average solar eclipse.
SOHO is the probe that's unveiling the sun as never before. But the sun keeps secrets, even from SOHO.
The surface of the sun that we see every day has a temperature of about 10,000 degrees. But only a few thousand kilometers above that surface, when we move up into the solar corona, the temperature jumps to 1 to 2 million degrees. And physicists and astronomers still don't understand why that happens.
It's as though you were getting more and more heat when you went away from the stove. So we want to understand how energy is transferred from under the surface of the sun into the higher levels and is dissipated there, heating the corona.
SOHO looks for answers by creating its own eclipses. Scientifically, quite an advantage over the real thing.
Watching a real eclipse takes only 2 minutes. In 2 minutes doesn't change much on the sun. You will not see the dynamics. It will be a picture, one picture, an impressive picture, but it doesn't move, it's stationary. The thing we do with the coronagraphs on SOHO is that you see the dynamics of the corona. Continually changes. Steaming off the solar wind, you can see the coronal mass ejections run away. The dynamics, that's something you cannot see during an eclipse.
To unravel the complexities of the sun, we need the unimpeded view from SOHO. A mass ejection blasts 1 billion tons of gas from the corona. Electrified particles hurtle through space at 1,000 kilometers a second. 2 days later, they streak into Earth's upper atmosphere. Result, the lights of the aurora.
Now there's a result.
Hello. Hi.
Hi.
I'm afraid you've been burgled. They've completely ransacked the place.
Hi, I think it's about time I got a cleaner. Great, hang on a sec.
You do not want to see what they have done in your bathroom.
Keep young and beautiful. It's your duty to be beautiful. Keep young and beautiful.
It's surprising the lengths some people go to just to try and keep in shape. Well, you may be surprised to know there's something right under your nose that can help. Only Kellogg's makes all its cereals 95% fat-free to help you maintain the shape you want in a way you'll enjoy. Kellogg's, because you are what you eat.
Summerfield's Price Check has great offers every week, like half-price Summerfield Mature Farmhouse Cheddar.
Well, he's a growing lad.
I was just about to slip into my normal trouser suit that I go out in the evening, because normally I do wear trouser suits and, you know, nobody ever gets to see my legs. But as I was getting changed, I noticed that actually my legs still felt quite soft after having used Dove in the morning. So I put a skirt on, went out and felt great and looked great.
Only new Dove body wash contains special moisturisers like those found naturally in your skin, which actively moisturise for a full 24 hours.
After I use Dove, I know that my skin's going to feel good.
Have you ever used this thing?
Yeah, all the time.
Another of your fads.
It was a special offer.
A complete waste of money, more like. Here, do the shopping, if you think you're up to it.
Laundry tablets, softener. Oh, don't need softener. Money waster, eh?
Clean and soft. This bulb must have cost a bit.
Ah, no separate softener. So it was over £1 less.
At least your brain's in good shape.
Get ready for an amazing offer. A chance to test drive the car they've all been talking about. The new Mazda 323 has evolved to become one of the most innovative and flexible designs of today. But don't just take our word for it. Hear what the experts say. Auto Express said it was a car designed for an active and modern lifestyle. Fleet Car Business praised its superb specification, backed up by Mazda's impeccable reliability. And Car Magazine said the 323 is exactly the kind of car you'd feel safe paying your own hard-earned cash for. And legendary Mazda value means the new 323 can be yours from just $10,995 on the road. Call 0345 48 48 48 now to arrange a free test drive. Every caller will automatically be entered into a free prize draw to win a new Mazda 323. So call 0345 48 48 48 now. Mazda. Get in, be moved.
You're at an interview, and this job could be your big break, and you're very, very nervous. So the last thing you want is for something like this to happen. Nothing out there will keep you drier than Sure Ultra Dry Cream. It even vanishes in like a lotion so it doesn't leave messy white marks on your skin. Sure Ultra Dry Cream. Whatever happens, it won't let you down.
There's a thought.
Physically, the moon may be the smallest actor, but it's pivotal in the drama of an eclipse. Without the moon, there'd be no show. In terms of a total eclipse, that's a problem, for the moon is slipping away from the Earth at the rate of 4 centimeters a year. It's to do with tidal friction. As tides gradually slow Earth's spin, we lose energy. The moon gains energy by pulling away. At a total eclipse today, the moon fits exactly over the disk of the sun. 2 billion years ago, when the moon was closer, it more than covered the sun. In the future, as the moon recedes, it won't cover the sun at all. It sometimes happens today. The lunar shadow falls short of Earth because the moon has an elliptical orbit. We see an annular eclipse. At our eclipse, the shadow cone comfortably reaches Earth. On its track across the planet, it spreads widest and lasts longest in the romantic heart of Romania. This couple is to marry during the very moments of totality. They've chosen wisely, for the church is at Râmnicu Vâlcea, where totality is the longest on Earth. They'll take their vows and pledge their love while the eclipse is total. 2 minutes and 23 seconds when the heavens stand still.
Hristos a înviat, bine ați venit. Binecuvântat în același timp.
Bride and groom are deeply aware of the symbolism, an earthly bonding during a celestial conjunction.
Dumnezeu să vă binecuvinteze, să vă dorească sănătate. Amin.
Their first wedded kiss will be only as the sun re-emerges and displays its diamond ring.
I can tell you from personal experience from 15 eclipses that seeing a total eclipse is something that you will remember for the rest of your life. No words and no photographs can adequately explain how incredible the phenomenon is.
The French Ardennes.
C'est Blagny.
Monsieur Poissereau, the mayor of Blagny, has put great effort into preparing for the eclipse. Totality will sweep his village, and he's delighted. Monsieur Poissereau explains that he's chosen the site as Saint-Walfour, approved by the French Astronomical Association as one of the best places to see the eclipse. We'll see the shadow embrace us from far away, he says, and we'll watch it leave for seconds longer than our neighbouring village of Carignan. Blagny is closer to the centre line, where totality will be enjoyed for 2 minutes 13 seconds. Meanwhile, in Carignan, the mayor, Monsieur Tejedocruz, is not to be outdone. Everyone's welcome here for the eclipse, he says. Monsieur Teche de Cruz says he has the perfect site at Carignan. It's clear of trees and will allow the shadow of totality to be seen arriving from far away. For Monsieur Poisserou, the mayor of Blagny, nowhere in France, indeed nowhere in Europe, could have a more idyllic site. Nonsense, says the mayor of Carignan. Even the cows agree this is the place. Back in Blagny, Monsieur Poisserou is puzzled by a publicity sheet distributed by his rival. It claims, says Monsieur Poisserou, the eclipse at Carignan will last 45 minutes. Totality lasts just 1 or 2 minutes. 2 minutes 13 seconds maximum. We'll see if my colleague can offer an explanation. So does Monsieur Teche de Cruz admit he's been misleading the public? Not at all, he says. It is true that the total eclipse will last only a couple of minutes. But remember, there's also the partial phase. The facts are, everywhere in Europe gets a partial eclipse. The closer you are to the black totality shadow, the bigger the partial. In other words, the more the sun is obscured. It's completely obscured only in the band of totality. And within the band, the closer you are to the center line, the longer totality lasts. The moon's shadow takes 64 minutes to sweep across Europe. In France, this couple cycled the entire line to find the best place to watch. Around 12:22 local time, totality runs north of Paris. Eastwards, over the mares of the Ardennes, it brushes Belgium and Luxembourg, crossing into Germany at about 12:30. 3 minutes later, as it hits Stuttgart, the city is celebrating a sun festival, solar-powered cars, a science fair and techno party. The farther it moves east, the longer totality lasts. Here, over the German-Austrian border, it's up to 2 minutes and 20 seconds. In the Austrian Alps, on the summit of Schlenken, the passage of totality is marked by mystic dancing, sun symbols, and alpenhorns. Onwards towards Hungary and Lake Balaton, where viewing could be the best in Europe. Sadly, the day's space weather scientist Barbara Thompson paid a visit, Balaton was cold, damp, and cloudy. By now, the path of totality is widest, 112 kilometers, as it races into Romania. Totality embraces an ancient observatory, reconstructed at Samisei-Jetuza, Regia. A little farther to the east, and totality is longest of all, 2 minutes, 23 seconds at Rybniko-Vulsha. Other than Luxembourg City, Bucharest is the only capital graced by the total eclipse. From early morning in the Atlantic, the duration of totality gradually increases to mid-Romania. Then it shortens as it heads into Asia and sunset across the Bay of Bengal. Stonehenge in southern England. Some believe this Bronze Age observatory predicted eclipses. Certainly the ancient Chinese could do it. They kept meticulous records of celestial events. But when 2 court astrologers got an eclipse prediction wrong, they were beheaded. The Babylonians knew eclipses repeated in a regular cycle. Using ziggurats as their observatories, they were expert forecasters. So too, the Englishman Edmund Halley, famous for the comet that bears his name. He worked out the path of the total eclipse of 1724. It passed right across Europe. When the great physicist Albert Einstein proposed his general theory of relativity, it was proved during the total eclipse of 1919. Einstein predicted that massive objects in space would bend light by distorting the space around them. The nearest example to Earth was the Sun. Sure enough, stars near the edge of the Sun appeared shifted from their normal positions during the 1919 eclipse. Einstein was right. Massive objects do bend light. (1999), Falkenhayn, Germany. A man preoccupied by both the eclipse and eggs. Gernot Meiser, who's organised a conference anticipating the eclipse, has a report that eggs will stand upright at totality. Why so? Apparently because of increased gravitational pull when the sun and moon directly align. The trial was done by eggheads in Malaysia.
I saw a very strange experiment. It was a student group. They're preparing a lot of eggs. They put them on at the tables, and they told me the eggs, they didn't fall down. And nobody could describe why, but somewhere told me it has to do with gravity. What I saw, most eggs were standing, and the professors told me that most eggs really stand during the eclipse time. After the eclipse, it didn't work. I don't know why.
Nor do astronomers. For if eggs stand up at totality, why don't they at each new moon, when the sun and moon are virtually in the same alignment? Just for the record, this is how we made eggs stand up. We used a magnet. So how do you get a piece of metal inside an egg? Well, that's our secret. Suffice to say, the egg should be hard-boiled. To watch an eclipse safely requires more than sunglasses. So concerned for the nation's eyesight is the French Ministry of Health that it's making available at least 10 million government-approved eclipse viewers.
Quand on regarde les documents du passé, on voit que à chaque
France's chief medical officer says that records of previous solar eclipses reveal a risk that cannot be ignored. That's why great attention has been paid to avoiding these problems of the past. In the partial phases of the eclipse, viewers must be warned, but the watchword is common sense, the objective, enjoyment.
People are getting the misleading impression that there's something dangerous about the eclipse or strange rays that come out of the sun, which isn't true at all. And also people aren't realizing that for the 2 minutes and a few seconds right in totality, in the middle of the eclipse, then you look at the eclipse without any eye protection. It's the same brightness as the full moon and equally safe to look at.
It's now, as the sun reappears, that viewers must be warned again. A few seconds exposure will burn the retina at the back of the eye. This Hungarian poet lost the sight of an eye eclipse watching in 1842. Fearing total blindness, he wrote, "What will become of me, not to see girls and the smoke of pipes?" Remember your viewers. The Danube flowing towards the path of totality. For this man, it's like totality itself, the shadow that will flood the place where the Magyars conquered the Hungarian plains 1100 years ago. And another association, the sun and moon on the church of Mátyás in Budapest. 2 days after the eclipse of 1485, King Mátyás took captive Vienna. And soon there'll be a little more history across Hungary.
I have been waiting for the eclipse for 65 years.
And this lady has been waiting more than 90 years. She's the self-appointed village guru of the Eclipse. She's never seen an eclipse, but like so many people in Hungary, she's avidly read up on the subject and she wants to share her passion. The same goes for this astronomical association. Countryfolk, farmers, scrap merchants, teachers, even the mayor. For months, they've been poring over charts of totality. Lucky for them, the moon's shadow sweeps right across this farmyard, and the local optician has ground a splendid lens for their telescope. Hungary is ready for the eclipse. 1,700 kilometres to the west, more frenetic preparations are in hand. 30,000 fans are heading to Cornwall for the biggest eclipse festival in England. Other than the sun and moon, the star performers are Thelemic Pulse, and this special offering to totality.
Liquid assets.
My wish is to always give you the most delicious of things, to share your world whenever you let me in, to know your look, to mirror your gaze and know your desire for the most delicious of things imaginable. And let your greatest gift to me remain just a touch.
Barnstaple, winner of World in Bloom, and Green Lane Shopping Centre. For a great day out, see the best in shopping. Take time to experience the best in fashion. Places to eat. And all your favourite names. It's fun for all the family. Green Lane Shopping Centre in Barnstaple. It's the place to visit this summer.
To take my place.
What's that awful racket?
Pub's got a brand new bag.
It's Dad. He's off again.
Look! Pyramid bags are on telly.
So PG Tips tested their pyramid, square and round bags, and just look what happens. Unlike the orthodox flat bag, the new pyramid bag gives the leaves more of the room they need to release all the freshness and flavour of the PG Tips blend.
I can almost taste it!
You can almost taste it, which makes these tips the tops.
Yeah!
This'll calm you down, love.
Best PG ever. Yeah, sure, these pyramid bags make a pharaoh cuppa. Pyramid, pharaoh.
This is what I wanted to show you.
What?
I thought we could sell these Flora multi-packs and they could double as aerobic steps. Watch. So, it's just nice, gentle exercise, you know, just enough to get the heart pumping. So, Flora multi-pack, Flora aerobic step,
really
Flora
like it.
multi-pack.
Nice
Flora
work,
aerobic
Barry.
step, Flora multi-pack, Flora aerobic step, Flora multi-pack. I don't know why that happened.
Grow up, Jim.
Completely wrecked my moccasins.
Flora people care.
I'm going to eat a whole Victoria sponge all to myself.
Oh, very clever.
Exceedingly.
Exceedingly good mini classics from Mr. Kipling.
Now, children, this term we're going to grow a plant from seed. You have to ask your mummy for an empty washing up liquid bottle.
Mum.
They
Because of its richer, longer-lasting suds, fairy really does last longer than any other liquid.
Yes! Well, let's see how your plants are all coming along. It's slightly different from all the others, isn't it, Peter?
Take me all the way to Greeley Park. Come along and have so much to do, you won't know where to start. Adventure's only just begun. All year, all weather too. So much to see, so much to do. Oh, yeah. Take me all the way to Greeley Park, the #1 adventure park.
35. Good call.
Astronomer on a mission. John Mason heads 45 kilometres off the tip of southwest England to the Isles of Scilly. Warmed by the Gulf Stream and ablaze with flowers, the Scillies are the first landfall of the 1999 eclipse. At exactly 9 minutes past 11 British summertime, totality casts its shadow.
For me, this is the end of a 37-year wait. When I was 8 years old, I got a little astronomy book for my birthday. I read about eclipses, and it talked about the next total eclipse in mainland Britain being in 1999 on August the 11th. And at that time I said, I'm going to be down in the southwest of England to see it, and that's exactly where I'm going to be.
Across in Cornwall, on the English mainland, Eclipse Day has more to do with the return of a legend. David Matthews, former Air Force photographer, has discerned a figure in the landscape. Matthews believes it's a message, and that this hill is where the 6th century British King Arthur held court with his knights of the Round Table, Camelot. On a map, Matthews has traced Arthur riding a great white boar. Its eye is supposedly Camelot. Legend has it, this is how Arthur will return. And with the centre line of totality running right through the picture, Matthews is convinced the spirit of Arthur will return to England with the eclipse. Meanwhile, there is science to be done. Solar astronomy, best conducted at an eclipse.
One important aspect of eclipse research is to study whether the sun's diameter is changing. If the sun's diameter is getting bigger, that would mean that the Earth is getting less energy, and it could plunge us into another ice age so that the Earth would be covered with snow and ice like we see up here in the mountains.
Flying the totality line reminds Espinac of our puniness in the vastness of nature.
An eclipse gives you a similar kind of view. In fact, it allows you to see how small you are with respect to the universe and the solar system, and it gives you a unique feeling that you are part of this incredible expanse of nature.
Espinac, probably the world's greatest authority on eclipses. He's been chasing them for 30 years, although never before through the Alps.
People ask me, why do you keep going to eclipses? Once you've seen one, haven't you seen them all? But you haven't. Each eclipse is unique. The corona is different. The prominences surrounding the sun are different. The danger is, once you've seen one eclipse, you may become addicted, and you'll end up like me, chasing this moon shadow all around the world.
And if you're a dark time chaser, clear skies are essential. For this eclipse, the farther east you are, the better the chances of cloudless weather. But even if it's overcast on the run-up, skies often clear at totality. That's because totality brings its own little weather system, often clear in the shadow itself, cloudy in its wake. Unfortunately, with the clouds they attract, the least good viewing spots are mountains.
After the moon's shadow sweeps over the Austrian Alps, it'll head east, in that direction, towards Hungary and Lake Balaton. Balaton's microclimate offers perhaps some of the best weather chances of seeing clear skies on eclipse day.
Balaton is Europe's largest lake, and its entire length gets totality. With 200 kilometers of shoreline and a well-developed tourist industry, the eclipse is a gigantic holiday bonus. Half a world away, at the island of Curaçao. Here in the Dutch Antilles, they watch the last total eclipse of the sun. This is the southern Caribbean, and in February 1998, tourism booms. On Eclipse Eve, as Curaçao anticipates totality, the island's population triples. Early morning, February the 26th. Anxious glances, for it's clouding over as eclipse chasers from around the world foregather. With satellite uplinks, special filters, and powerful lenses, the media is here too. To keep the sun in frame, motorized mounts must track at the speed of Earth's rotation. Everything has to be ready. So what makes an eclipse chaser?
Absolute madness, but it's a pleasant madness, and it's a wonderful madness. I think it's the rarity of the event, but also the beauty of the event.
People freak out when they see it, because even I do. I'm a rocket scientist, and I freak out.
This may be an artifact of aliens, that aliens years ago would set the moon exactly in that orbit, because they realized that if Earth ever developed intelligent life, they would look at the diameter of the sun and the moon, realize they were the same, and realize this was a sign.
The camaraderie of enthusiasts, and some enthusiastic refueling. Everywhere, final preparations, good humor, and a check on the sun. It won't be long now. First contact. The moon is consuming the sun. Then, horror, cloud. The old hands are unfazed, and they're right. The sky's clear, and the magic grows. Binoculars project a twin image of the crescent sun. Dozens of crescents dapple through the trees. Observation is only through the strongest filters. This partial phase lasts an hour and a half. As totality nears, it's weird.
Things take on a very strange appearance. Colours become muted because your eyes are not able to see the colours so easily. Shadows sharpen, and there's a sort of eerie, silvery light over everything.
We don't see it yet, but the shadow of the moon is silently speeding towards Curaçao. Light levels are plunging.
About 30 seconds before totality begins, instead of looking up at the sun, look down onto a beach like this.
Light ripples at the bottom of a sunlit swimming pool, shadow bands.
It's like black snakes stretching to infinity in either direction, moving across the ground, and it's as though the ground is about to open and swallow you up.
They're a trick of the atmosphere. totality is just moments away. Birds are roosting. The moment photographers hate, off with the camera filter and a rapid change of exposure. The sun is almost gone. The diamond ring, then Bailey's beads as sunlight twinkles through the valleys of the moon. Totality. For 3.5 minutes, we see the corona of our glorious star. The sky is dark enough for stars and planets to appear. Mercury is to the far left, Jupiter lower right. The diamond ring again, and totality is over. No one seems interested in the partial phase as the moon gives up the sun, a retreat that can take an hour and a half. On Curaçao, it's time to party.
Cheers! Cheers! It made me laugh and cry at the same time. It's the only way I could tell you.
Well, it's very spiritual and religious, I think.
If the cigar were only as good as the Eclipse.
Wonderful. Nothing like it. Come and see an eclipse.
The first solar eclipse that I saw was back in 1970. I was a young student at the time. I was an amateur astronomer, and I thought this might be my one chance in a lifetime to see a solar eclipse because it passed fairly close to home. So I begged my parents to let me borrow the car. I'd only been driving for 6 months, and I drove 1,000 kilometers south to North Carolina to see the total eclipse. It only lasted 2.5 minutes, and as soon as the eclipse was over, I knew I had to see another one. And since then, I've traveled around the world to Kenya, to South America, to Asia, to Australia, and each experience is totally new, totally fresh. The adrenaline is running. You never get tired of it. It's one of the most spectacular, if not the most spectacular sight you can possibly see in nature.
Totality has awed humanity for thousands of years. It arouses deep emotions and primitive feelings. Many have tried to express the wonder, the magnificence of a total eclipse, but have failed. The Chinese spoke of a great dragon eating the sun, the Polynesians of the sun and moon making love. The Mayans offered human sacrifices to coax the sun to return. But no words, no pictures can match the majesty of the real thing.
Kiss, 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 kiss. That's more like it.
Wadworth 6X, sponsors of Eclipse.
Coming up next, we go over to ITN for today's other news, and then the Southwest's biggest ever live broadcast begins.
On last Sunday's Find a Fortune,
we have a fantastic surprise for somebody.
Claire had entered a prize draw, but never received her prize. She thought she'd won.
Check for a pound.
But it actually was
£20,000.
Carol Vorderman in the programme that wants to give you money. Find a Fortune, live Sunday at 8 on ITV.
My wish is to always give you the most delicious of things, to share your world whenever you let me in, to know your look, to mirror your gaze and know your desire for the most delicious of things imaginable. And let your greatest gift to me remain just a touch.
Everywhere, jungles and rainforests are shrinking, threatening the wildlife. But at Paynton Zoo, they're expanding, giving animals much more of a future. And you much more to see.
Sorry I'm late. Thought I'd never get here. The carnage are really good going over, but I haven't had time.
Really, Gilly? You know Masterfit service Vauxhalls while you wait, so you don't need an appointment. Now, when was it last time? Anyway, they were very quick.
Yes, well, they're always very reasonable here.
Good value, I've heard.
I'll get started on it right away, OK? Even a major service can be carried out while you wait, and always by Vauxhall-trained technicians. Masterfit. Put your Vauxhall in the hands of the experts.
Don't shoot!
Roundtree's fruit pastels take you beyond fruit.
Fromage fry and building blocks, Onky Block, Onky Block. Fromage fry and building blocks, Onky Block from Onken.
Kids love the taste of Onky Block fruit fromage frais. The empty pots become big building blocks for even more fun. With calcium and vitamins, Onky Block fruit fromage frais from Onken.
The man from Del Monte doesn't just pick the perfect fruit. He picks the perfect moment and seals it. Say yes to Del Monte. Fruit at its best.
What's this bag down there? It's not mine. Oi, Chris, open it! You don't know what's in there, man.
Pants with maggots in. Could be.
Go on in, lads.
Don't do it.
Use the gloves.
New Bold 2-in-1 liquid with its quality fabric conditioner is richer than ever, so the freshness is better than ever. New Bold liquid, richer with freshness.
O is for open, just like a bird. L is for laughter, to hear your first word. V is variety, and the fun we have tasting it. A is approval, the way that you show it. R is response, between baby and me. I is ingredients, fresh as can be. T is for tasty, each little bit. O is for over it, love it.
Okay, just got a shot of lightning that missed me.
This man flies planes through thunderstorms for a living.
Tried to intercept the updrafts where a lot of the action occurs.
One way to discover what happens in the eye of the storm.
The airplane knows how to get through. All I have to do is stay with it.
Eye of the Storm, Thursday, 8:30 on ITV. So, you want more Bond? Well, we've got more Bond.
You have a knack of surviving.
Saturday at 8:10.
They missed you. What a pity.
Now, West Country, a quick look at the Wednesday morning national and international headlines from our studios at ITN.
Hello, and let's go straight to remarkable images of the first solar eclipse, full solar eclipse, to be seen on mainland Britain for 72 years. This is the view from Bodmin Moor in Cornwall as the moon slices its way across the sun. The moon's just 250,000 miles away from us, the sun 94 million miles, and that's why they both appear to be the same size to our eyes. In 40 minutes from now, the moon will cover the sun completely. It looks almost as if we're looking at the moon. We're not. We're looking at the sun as it hasn't been seen from mainland Britain since 1927. And this, the view from an RAF Hercules flying above the clouds. The proverbial piece of cheese there, except that it's not the moon, it is the sun. And when the eclipse is total, we'll bring it to you live at 10 minutes past 11. Do join me then.
Now spanning the southwest with regional coverage exclusive to Westcountry. Eclipse Live.
Well, I think we're here.
No, here. Here more like.
Or perhaps here.
This is it. Or here.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking?
Wadworth 6X, sponsors of Eclipse. Hello, good morning and welcome to Eclipse Live. Well, I'm here on the centre line of totality in Falmouth at Pendennis Castle, and we're just 40 minutes away from this little moment in history, and I hope we're going to bring you all the best flavour and atmosphere of the event as it happens around the region. And let me also show you live pictures of the eclipse as it is beginning. These come from our cameras on Alderney. You can see a chunk taken out of the sun there. We also have a shot from Torquay, and there's a live picture also from a Hercules aircraft. And you're seeing now also people gathered, thousands of them gathered on a meadow on the other side of Falmouth, as it were, getting the best of both worlds, getting the shot of us that we're putting out on West Country and also seeing the event live as it happens in reality. And also later in the programme, we'll be going over to Plymouth Hoe and Torquay itself.
Throughout the morning, since about 6 o'clock, there's been a steady stream of people getting busier and busier and busier, all heading from the city centre out to the Hoe here. As the people have been heading to the seafront, the boats have been heading seawards, out beyond the breakwater, perhaps hoping to escape this great big blanket of cloud above us.
I know, no sun, except I've got... Is your stomach turning over?
I'm beginning to get excited now.
Really excited now. But what I can't believe is it's actually going to get dark.
It will get dark, but a heavy blanket of cloud in Plymouth. Let's hope it's a little better in Torquay.
Well, we reckon there are up to 1 million people in the Torbay area, and of course many of them have been attracted by those latest weather forecasts that said this was the place to be. But it's looking a bit iffy at the moment, Ron.
Well, it's not far off. There are some nice little breaks in the cloud here. We've had a few glimpses of the eclipse. Thousands and thousands of people here, and just like in Plymouth, there's a great armada of little boats heading south, trying to get clear of this cloud to get a bit of eclipse fever out at sea.
Well, like you in Falmouth, we're keeping everything crossed, Richard.
Thanks very much. Just one or two spits and spots of rain here. Actually, the crowd behind me have been shouting for clear skies, doing their own sort of druid stuff. It hasn't worked quite yet. Fingers crossed, nevertheless. Over now to Alison Johns in Truro.
Yes, and welcome to the playing fields at Truro School, where we probably have more experts per square foot than anybody else in the West Country, because we are guests of the British Astronomical Association. As you can see, they're all gathered here, hopefully waiting with all of their specialist equipment to see what is happening. And with me is our special expert, Dr. John Mason, who's been with us throughout all of our eclipse programming this week. Well, I'm afraid it has to be said, here in Truro, the one thing we didn't want, the cloud. What are your feelings at the moment?
Well, disappointment at the moment. I mean, we've got a very thick bit of frontal cloud covering us. We haven't really had a glimpse of the sun even for the last quarter of an hour. I mean, I remain cautiously optimistic we might get a break. One thing is going to be certain, it is going to get quite dark here as the shadow comes across us at 11 minutes past 11. But people obviously all over the West Country, I'm sure, are experiencing similar conditions. And people must remember that even though the sun may be seen through cloud, they must remember to protect their eyes in case it suddenly comes through on a clear patch. So always keep your viewers handy.
About 45 minutes since first contact. For those who have been able to see something, what have they been seeing?
Well, they've seen the moon slowly sliding across the face of the sun. We're about halfway through that hour and a quarter partial phase at the moment. 11:11, obviously, here in Truro, the crucial time when the eclipse becomes total.
Your friends here and colleagues, with all of this specialist equipment, what are they set up? What are they wanting to capture in this lifetime experience?
They've brought hundreds of different telescopes. Some of them have brought a whole van full of equipment and set it all up throughout the morning. They've got cameras and different sorts of equipment to record the spectrum, the corona prominences, and they're all just waiting for something to happen for that clear piece in the sky.
What about you? We think, of course, you've seen lots of eclipses. You must be very blasé. How are you this morning?
I'm never blasé to the event. I've seen this sort of conditions before. If we don't see it, it will be an incredible disappointment for all of us, but we're still just hoping that the skies will clear.
Yes, fingers crossed, we are all hoping.
Yeah.
John will be speaking to you later again, of course. We have, as well as the experts, people who've brought their families and friends with them who've come from quite a long way away. Now, I gather, where have you travelled from today?
Well, we've come originally from La Palma in the Canary Islands.
And why did you decide to come all the way to Cornwall for this day?
Well, in my case, it's my last chance to see an eclipse in England.
That's right. But of course you have brought your little one with you, and you'll be able to tell her later on that this is where she was in Truro for this special day.
Yep.
And what do you think are her chances of seeing the next one? That's in 2090.
Well, I guess it's just possible.
Yeah, well, let's hope she does. It's wonderful to have you here as our guest in Truro. Enjoy it very much, won't you?
Thank you.
Well, we've got special cameras here with the filters and everything, which will give you an exclusive and very different view of the eclipse. So do come back to us later. But for now, it's back to Falmouth and Richard.
We shall certainly be coming back to you a little bit later on. Now, just take a look at these pictures we're getting at the moment from the Hercules, which is in the air as we speak between Penzance and Falmouth. You can see how it really is beginning to take a big chunk out of the sun. I sort of rather expected it to come in from the bottom right-hand corner, but it's coming in from the top right-hand corner. That shot live from the Hercules at the moment. Now, with me here in Falmouth is Brigadier Gage Williams, the Eclipse coordinator, planner. This is it. This is the moment. It has arrived. Are you relieved or a little bit disappointed by this cloud?
I'm actually still very excited, and I'm not sure whether the light level's fallen because of what's going on up there, or whether it's because of this rather dark cloud, rather leaden,
it is,
slightly sinister cloud that's come over us here at the moment.
Well, it is strangely sort of calm and doom-laden, isn't it?
It is, and I've always been told by people that we'll all get this eerie feeling.
Right. Now, look, the cars did arrive at last. I mean, there's been lots of people coming down the M5 and the A30 and the A38. A lot of them turning right into Torquay. I mean, in all honesty, it's not quite what was expected, though, is it?
I think it's turning left, Richard.
Turning left, I mean, into Torquay, not right. Left, yes.
Yeah, and I think the weather forecast got more and more close to being spot on, and the advice last night was that there's a slightly better chance of seeing this event in South Devon. I'm delighted though that people here in Cornwall have stayed where they are. So the last thing we wanted was for everyone to up sticks and try and move up the coast.
I mean, looking back on it all, I mean, are there things that perhaps you would have done differently? Less of the warnings of foreboding, less of the take care, less of the signs, perhaps a bit less of the greed, if I dare say it, from people who were letting out houses for God knows what?
Well, I think that was a short-term thing back in January, the greed side, and people soon realised they weren't going to get those prices. And prices on the whole have been very fair and very sensible, which I'm delighted about. Like the tourist industry has behaved very responsibly. I think in terms of would we have done it differently, had we had the sort of weather we had last month, we could well have had numbers really pushing the upper planning limit of about 300,000 more than what we have here at the moment.
Right, OK. We were just looking at a shot just then of the eclipse as it was beginning to build from Alderney. Thank you very much indeed, Gage. Talking of traffic there, let's go over to Sharon Goebel, who's at the Traffic Control HQ in Exeter, to see just what is happening at the last minute, as it were.
I'm joined here by Hilary Allison, who's Head of Communications and who's been monitoring the traffic all morning. Hilary, how is it out there on the roads?
Well, it's getting busy. What we've seen this morning is a lot of traffic moving towards South Devon, particularly Torbay, South Hams area. We have got some delays. We did have a 3-mile queue at one stage at Pen Inn, but that's now looking as if it's actually getting less, which is good.
The big question, is everyone going to get to their destination in time for the big moment?
Well, we hope so. We've been delighted with people's response. People have listened to what we've said. They clearly have staggered the journeys. They have planned ahead. What we would say now, though, is unless you're already out on the road, please don't make any journeys. Please stay where you are, because we can manage the situation as it is.
Now, once the eclipse is over, the problem is going to be managing everyone who wants to leave. Are you confident that's going to be okay?
Well, we're hoping that people will do exactly the same as they've done on the way down here. Again, we're hoping not everyone will leave today. Some people will leave tomorrow, some people Friday, some people Saturday and the weekend. So again, the advice is please stagger your journey and you will be able to get there, successfully rather than having to wait in traffic jams.
Hilary, thank you very much. Good advice. Please follow it. That's all for now from here.
Thank you very much indeed, Sharon. We've got an enormous number of helicopters in the air above us here at Pendennis too. Now let's go over to Ian Sterling at the Hoe in Plymouth.
Thanks, Richard, where the excitement is unbelievable here. You can hear the bands in the background and thousands of people gathering. But one very special man is with me, Harry Weaver. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine, thanks.
Good. Now, you go back to 1927 when you saw the first eclipse.
That's right.
Now, was it clear then?
It wasn't too clear where I was, but, of course I was right on the edge of totality. So,
Yeah, in Yorkshire?
Yes.
And what did you feel then? How did you feel about it?
Well, I felt all alone because I was on my own then.
Really? Unlike today?
Being a young boy at 12, I wasn't in a big crowd, same as some of them,
Yeah.
But I was on my own.
And did they warn you then not to look up at it and all that business?
Well, the schools, the schools told us that, to watch.
And you said something about you had to have a piece of glass with you?
We had a piece of glass and it was smoked, smoked on a candle or something like that, yeah.
Right. And could you look right up at it then?
Oh yeah, we looked at it, but I can't understand why we could look at it and they have all the glasses of these days. You think there would be a lot of blind people walking around?
I know. Well, did it go? Because this is what I can't understand. I thought it would have been quite dark by now, but it's not.
Not yet, no.
Is that at the last few minutes?
The last few minutes, yes, the shadow will come over.
Right. So is it bringing back the memories of 1927?
Well, yeah, but I was hoping that it would be total and then I would be able to get some of the things that I missed last time.
Now, this is also a very special day for you.
Yeah.
What is it? Go on.
It's my birthday.
It's your birthday.
I'm 84.
84.
Yeah.
Hang on. There we go. We couldn't let this go past now, could we? You don't mind the flowers, do you?
Thank you.
Is that okay?
Lovely.
A little bit of champagne?
A little bit of champagne, yeah.
I'll hang on.
You hang on to that, yeah.
Harry, have a brilliant birthday and thanks for taking time to come in and tell us about that. And it is getting dark. It is getting dark.
Yeah.
It's very spooky here. Back to Falmouth.
Thanks very much indeed, Ian. Looks fun. They're down the hill. And look at this shot. This is taken from a camera in Bodmin. We really are well on the way to the total eclipse. And in the skies above me here in Falmouth, helicopters buzzing around like bees. With me, two people who've come here to see the event especially. You're from
Chesterfield.
Right, and you've come just for this and you're dressed for the event too.
With my friend here, we've sort of come down today and we've got several friends who were staying in the hostel.
You come a little bit further.
That's right, from a place called Bend in Oregon in Cascade Mountains on the west coast of the United States.
Have you come especially for this event?
I came especially for this event, yeah. In fact, it's a big event for us because there's 32 of us here and we've got the hostel booked and so we're here for 4 days.
Fantastic.
Just loving it.
You love it. What about this? Are you not a little bit disappointed?
Well, it's going dark, but the thing is, it's dark clouds. But no, it's a great event. And
don't worry, it's going to go pretty dark pretty soon.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks very much indeed. Let's hear from Sarah Lillicrap, who's out there in the bay on board HMS Shetland.
Well, proof here that the bay, it is actually starting to go dark here in the bay. HMS Shetland's navigation lights came on about 3 or 4 minutes ago, so it is actually finally starting to happen. The bay behind me filling up with small boats. I think there's a sailing shop somewhere doing a roaring trade in wet weather gear this morning. Now, Shetland's one of 4 Royal Navy vessels stationed around the southwest coast as a precaution, really, a safety precaution. And with me is her captain, Lieutenant Commander Toby Williamson. What's your big role today?
Shetland, as part of the Navy plan, comprehensive coverage in the southwest for maritime safety. We're here on the south coast of Cornwall. I've got colleagues on the north coast of Cornwall and also covering the Devon, Dorset and Hampshire coastlines.
Now, you're here to respond to an incident. You're also a bit like the police car parked on a roundabout, aren't you, with all these small boats around?
Indeed, we are the police, ambulance and fire services all rolled in with the AA and the RAC roles as well. Falmouth Coast Guard is coordinating with their inshore and offshore lifeboats, and we will be acting as a platform, if required, in the next hour or two to respond to any minor emergencies. We hope that, of course, there are none.
OK, so possibly a busy day, still waiting to see lots more boats coming out. Now back to the mainland.
Thank you very much indeed, Sarah. We're going to give you a shot from Bodmin, from our camera in Bodmin, which has a pretty good view of the sun. What is it? About 2/3 of the way there. We have just over 20 minutes to go until total eclipse. Now let's go over to Torquay, where Tim and Ron are waiting for us.
No, we're not. Tim has improved enormously. I have with me Claire and Gaia. We're getting some beautiful glimpses of this eclipse. Only partial so far, of course. Gaia, our clairvoyant, won't even look at them. She says it portends something terrible. Well, does this mean a change in the future, Gaia?
It does, actually. I've got massive things happening with the royal family. And,
start with that. What's going to happen with them?
Well, because the eclipse is in Leo, which is the traditional sign of royalty, what's going to happen is I think we're going to have an announcement of a marriage, and also there's going to be a baby in the royal family.
I can imagine one that'll be Charles. I don't think Camilla's in the state of having a baby just at the moment. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be, but there's going to be an announcement of a baby.
And anything else happening in the wider world?
The wider world, there could be possible presidential, or not presidential, but a prominent leading figure, because this affects, people in very prominent positions. There could be an assassination attempt, but it won't be successful.
Oh.
So a little bit of a warning, because what's happening is that the very powerful figures around the world are actually being literally eclipsed. This is kind
but world upheaval generally.
World upheaval, absolutely, on a high scale. This is people in power.
What about the lower scale? What about you and me and everyone watching?
Well, with us, it's very much on a person, because Leo is a lovely, loyal, home, family, sort of orientated sign, and it's going to be linked with personal relationships very, very strongly. Lots of people may be wanting to make changes, and things have been very stressful up until now, and there's been a huge amount of pressure cosmically, and what's going to happen is as soon as this eclipse is over, people find their relationships will suddenly lift. They may decide to make endings or new beginnings. Lots and lots of new beginnings, very positive for lots of people. They're going to suddenly feel uplifted.
Well, it's about time. I've been miserable for 25 years. Gaia, we've got to let them get on and look at the eclipse. Like I say, we're getting some beautiful, tantalising glimpses of the sun here in Torquay. I hope you're as lucky as us in the rest of the region. Thank you, Gaia.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much indeed, Ron. Tim's taken a turn for the better, hasn't he? The sun is up there somewhere. It's sort of a battle at the moment here in Falmouth between the sun and the clouds, which gets darker first. And I think we also perhaps have some shots from the Hercules of the event as it is at... Oh, that's a wonderful shot, isn't it? Look at that. We're about 3/4 of the way there, and what, about 80 minutes to go. Now, this is an exciting event for all of us, I dare say, but for some it has a deeper meaning. Angus Walker got up at the crack of dawn with a group of pagans.
Dawn at the Boscawen Circle near Land's End. The sun has risen over these stones for nearly 5,000 years. The Bronze Age builders used the 19 stones as an observatory, and it became one of 3 main Druid meeting places in ancient Britain. Today it's still regarded as having magical qualities. For some people, stepping in the footprints of their forefathers on this day, of all days, completes a circle of history.
I think, for me, it's time to reflect on the fact that we live in cycles, and this is completing a cycle of 90 years. For me, I'm reflecting back on 90 years really of a lot of war and destruction.
Those who practice in the ancient religions will celebrate the eclipse with time-honoured rituals of dancing, singing, blessings and offerings to the gods. Whether their messages convince the heavens to provide clear weather for totality has yet to be seen. Their ceremonies will also be witnessed by millions across the world. The media are here, beaming their messages into the skies, something the ancient Britons would never have dreamt of.
Now back to Alison and Dr. John Mason in Truro, and we've got pictures of from the Hercules aircraft of the eclipse as it is at the moment.
Yes, hello. Well, we saw a little glimpse there
We did.
of what's been happening since we last spoke. The last 15 minutes, how close are we getting now?
Well, we're getting close now. Of course, that was a shot from the aircraft, and we can see the moon's disk moving more and more over the sun. Here in Truro, we've unfortunately not seen any of that. That, of course, is from above the clouds, and we'd love to have that view here. We've noticed, of course, it is getting gloomier here. The wind has come up, and we've had one or two little gusts, and it's also getting a bit chilly too. I don't know about you.
I have to say, I'm freezing. I didn't know if that was because of the eclipse.
I think it is going to get quite cool during the eclipse. Once the moon's shadow's over, I think it's going to get quite dark here. I think it is going to get quite chilly, and we may get wind veering round. We'll just have to wait and see.
Now, we mentioned tantalisingly our special cameras. We've got 3 of them here, exclusive access to those. Tell us about them, why they are going to show us something.
Well, they're television cameras, but with different lenses on, and they're all on special mounts which track the sun very accurately. Now, unfortunately, although they can see through thin cloud, they can't see through the very thick cloud that we have at the moment. So we've still got to keep fingers crossed that those thick clouds will clear in time.
Right, well, let's have a look if we can and see what they are showing and see if... Oh,
well, we're just getting something there, but...
that's from Alderney, I think. I can't believe that's true at the moment.
I can't believe that's here because I can't see that with a naked eye.
That's from the Channel Islands. That's quite amazing,
So they've got a
isn't it?
similar thing to the aircraft there, that obviously they're just seeing the same partial phase, and clouds drifting across. So cloud appears to be a general problem throughout.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we can have a look now at... Yes, there we are.
So that's our view. That's much more accurate. That's what I can see at the moment, just the underside of clouds.
That's right. It's cloudy and it's chilly, but we are still ever hopeful.
We are.
Come back to us. Richard, it's back to you for now.
Thank you very much indeed, Alice. And there we are. That is the shot at the moment from Torquay. And we're taking a short break now, but do join us after the break for the total eclipse of the sun. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Now there's a result.
Take me all the way to Greeley Park, the #1 adventure park.
Does a thinner pad give you less protection at night? Not always. As well as being ultra thin, Always Ultra Night are extra long, which means they have twice as much of the ultra-absorbent core that turns liquid into gel. So there's nothing to lose any sleep over. Always Ultra Night. Less pad, more protection, all night.
The man from Del Monte doesn't just pick the perfect fruit, he picks the perfect moment and seals it. Say yes to Del Monte. Fruit at its best.
The Lynx effect.
Oh, smell the smoke on that.
It's okay, Febreze will shift it.
Febreze is a new way of getting rid of odours on fabrics.
I spray my curtains, my carpets, Febreze, my covers, my clothes.
Love him. Hate the palm.
Febreze doesn't cover up one smell with another. It finds the bad odours trapped in fabrics and gets rid of them safely.
Once it's dry, the smell's gone. For good. It's like I hung it outside.
Febreze?
In the kids' room.
Next to the fabric softeners.
Febreze gets bad smells out of fabrics for good.
Does it work on teenagers?
Wicked wild west. Jim West, desperado, rough rider. No, you don't want nada. None of this. Six gunning this, brother running this. Buffalo soldier. Look, it's like I told you. Any damsel that's in distress, be out of that dress when she meet Jim West. Wild, wild west. When I roll into the wild, wild west. When I stroll into the wild, wild west. When I bounce into the wild, wild
The Hush, the #1 album. Including the massive hit In Our Lifetime. And the new single, Summer Sun. Texas. The Hush, the album.
You can now get one of 4 great mobile phones for only $49.99 at Tesco. But hurry, they won't be around forever.
There's a thought.
Hello there, welcome back to Westcountry's live coverage of the Eclipse 99. There are many people here in Falmouth. Look, there's a shot of one of the helicopters buzzing around us to give us shots of the event here. And also over on the other side of the beach in Falmouth, there we are, thousands of people gathered there, backing, as you might say, God and Mammon. They want to see it for reality, but they also want to see it on television, where we've actually at the moment got by far the best pictures. Now over to Alison and John in Truro for the event itself.
We are so close now to totality. It's starting to drizzle here. John Mason, is that part of it or just bad luck?
I think it's bad luck, but also, of course, as the temperature is dropping, I think we may get the drizzle. Even during totality, we could be rained on, which would really add insult to injury, I feel.
Right. We're seeing now, we are getting a round of applause, and guess why? There's a break in the cloud. We can see shots from Alderney at the moment, and now there you are. That's what we can see.
Through here in Truro.
Wow,
remarkably, with 10 minutes to go.
We heard there
is our
hundreds of
shot.
astronomers cheering. You can hear them still going now. They finally got something that they can photograph. So what can we see here in Truro,
Well,
John?
we're getting towards the climax of the partial phase. We can see there the crescent of the sun rapidly shrinking as the moon covers the remaining part of it. Need to be careful, of course. Keep using those viewers. It's still dangerous to look at the sun even through cloud. And we're now waiting, hoping that that patch will stay there, that clear patch, for the next 10 minutes till totality.
I can't believe the excitement of your colleagues behind us. There's so much. We've waited patiently for a long time, haven't we, for this? And they're all there, pointing towards the sky.
Yes, indeed.
We have some special guests here with us who I know have come a very long way. I gather that you've come from Los Angeles to watch this. So, what do you think? That was a great moment, wasn't it, when the sun came through?
Gives a little bit of excitement. I mean, I think it's still a very exciting day, even with the clouds. We still came out here to see. It's just beautiful here, and we'll still get the darkness and everything, so I don't think we're too disappointed with the clouds, but it sure is exciting when you see something like that.
Do you feel this is something you're going to be able to go back to the States and say that was the experience of a lifetime still?
Oh, definitely. We love it. This country is wonderful. The people have just been terrific through the whole thing, and their spirit is still up.
Well, obviously, I know that you're going to be stood now sort of looking carefully with all the right sort of equipment. We don't want anybody hurting their eyes.
We have the glasses.
You have the glasses as well. So thank you very much for joining us, and do enjoy the experience. Back to John now.
This is very reminiscent of 1927 because they stood out in conditions like this. There were gaps in the clouds. They started to see the crescent as the partial phase got more and more, and they got rained on. So this is following the experiences of 72 years ago, only hopefully more people here will see it than did that time.
You have yourself viewed eclipses across the world. How does this compare? Is it a big disappointment, or are you still getting that same buzz?
I'm excited. I mean, obviously it's disappointing that the cloud is here, but you know, we'll never get another chance like this in our own country. We can travel off to other places and see other eclipses, but there's a real party atmosphere here. I think everybody wants to enjoy themselves. We haven't travelled thousands of miles to get here. We're in our own country, and we hope to see more like we saw just now.
We've been talking a lot in the last few weeks about what will happen with nature as the changes start to happen. I mean, it is now feeling, you can feel there's a chill in the air and a breeze. What are the animals and everything going to be doing at the moment?
I think if we had a clear sky, we would have perhaps seen more influence, because there are not many birds flying because the weather is so bad at the moment. There's a cockerel on the neighbouring farm over there. I've not heard him crowing at all. I suspect he hasn't got out of bed yet because the weather's not been very good. So we've not been able to observe a lot of those effects. But obviously the light level is now getting noticeably lower. And Yes.
Bodmin, I gather, we
This
can
is
see at the
Bodmin.
moment, just
There
being
again,
obscured by
thin
a bit of
crescent
cloud.
there. Fleeting glimpses through the clouds all over the West Country, it seems.
That's it. Lots of people will, of course, gone up onto the moors in Bodmin. People have gathered all over the West Country. It's been wonderful to see the shots this morning.
Beaches, moors, beside the road, everywhere.
Yeah, and there's Alderney as well. The Channel Islands doing very well.
Better weather there, although they've obviously got a lot of cloud. It seems as though there's cloud right across Europe. I mean, even some of the areas we expected to be clearer, like Hungary, have got cloud problems. So we're probably doing about as well as anybody is at the moment.
And how far are we now from
well,
getting
11:04, we're 7 minutes to go. So in about 5 minutes from now, it's going to start getting dark over there. But of course, at 9 minutes past 11, the shadow will hit the Scilly Isles, and that'll be 1 minute 40 seconds before it hits here. It's travelling at over 1.5 times the speed of Concorde, racing across the West Country. Scilly Isles is first landfall, then of course the parts of Western Cornwall, and then racing across Penzance, and then eventually to us. There's another lovely view of the crescent.
That one is in Alderney again. We're going back to the Channel Islands, and of course we saw there the path of that the totality.
Eclipse right across Europe. And this is really a pan-European event. We're just the vanguard, if you like. We see it first, and then everybody else in Europe gets their chance. But a
That's
lovely
lucky
view
old
there.
Torquay. Hello to all our viewers in Torbay, down there on the beach, having a great time,
They've got a
enjoying
nice view
that.
there of the diminishing crescent, and there's another one there.
And that's the Hercules.
Right.
There we are,
Nice clear
above the
shot.
cloud cover. And you really can see now how we're not very far at all,
we're
are
not.
we?
No, we're not. And of course, the Hercules aircraft, which is to the west of us, that's going to obviously get the start of totality before we do. So as they see the moon totally covering the sun for the first time, we've still got a minute or so to go. We'll start to see it get dark over there in the west, just north of west, and then that moon shadow will race in. And in that last 2 or 3 minutes, from about 11:08, the light level here is going to drop like a stone. And it is, I think, going to get very gloomy here about 11:11.
What other things are going to be visible once we do get into totality? Because there are, aren't there, other things which suddenly are thrown into relief and we can
from
see.
here, with the cloud, we're going to have a job to see a lot of those things. But from the Hercules, they will get a clear view of course, the corona, which is the sun's outer atmosphere, something you can never normally see. The beautiful, thin gas at 1 to 2 million degrees. You never see that. You also see some of the reddish prominences. These are the plumes of hydrogen gas rising from the sun. Brilliant crimson red, a really vivid red colour, and we will see those as well. We'd like to be able to see them from here. We had a break in the clouds a few minutes ago. You never know, we may be lucky.
We still have 5 minutes to go, so you don't know. That's right. Everybody is here with the cameras and everything safely pointed towards the sky.
Every eye gazing sky. We're just hoping for another break, but we've got another little thick patch of cloud at the moment. More of the crescents there. This last bit of the crescent takes a while to shrink. This is from the Hercules aircraft, and obviously a really clear view there from above the clouds. The yellowish colour of the sun there is the natural colour, even though we're looking through a special filter fitted to the front of the camera lens. What will happen is, as that crescent shrinks, there's another view.
That's
clouds,
Bodmin there.
That's from the ground. As the crescent shrinks more and more, obviously the light level will drop, and eventually they will have to remove the special filter from the front of the camera. So as that crescent gets very small and it's about to disappear, you'll see probably the cameraman removing the filter from the front of the camera. There'll be a few seconds of movement there, and then we'll have the view without the filter of the eclipse sun.
See, well, it's only 4 minutes to go now. How are you feeling yourself at the moment?
Well,
I'm shivering, and I don't know if it's because it's getting cold or
it is getting cold. It's
excitement.
getting noticeably cold here, and I think the temperature is going to drop quite a bit in the next few minutes. The wind hasn't got up yet. We've had a few gusts earlier. It's now a bit still. We could get some gusts of wind coming up to totality.
We've got Alderney there, we've got, and that at a different stage there.
Yeah, they're obviously
obviously to us.
well to the east of us and to the south, so they're going to get the start of totality after us. So I mean, we're going to see from the Hercules aircraft first. It's already beginning to get a little bit greyer over in the west. In a couple of minutes, that light level in the west is going to get lower and lower, and we'll see the moon shadow coming across from that direction.
I have to say, this is starting to feel really strange. You told me that this would happen.
Notice the
and you
light.
expect
It's a silvery light, an eerie silvery light.
And you expect it to happen slowly like it does at a normal dusk, and
it
it's
doesn't.
just happening very fast. And of course, we can't put our lights on because we don't want to spoil everything for
Indeed,
everyone.
indeed.
We can see that tiny sliver as it comes through. That's from the Hercules
Yes,
aircraft
and
again.
It's still shrinking, and it doesn't seem to be doing very much at the moment, even though we're only about 3 minutes or so from totality there. But of course, eventually you'll find it shrinking very quickly. If you were able to see that in a completely clear sky, your shadows would have become sharp. The blurry edges to shadows would have gone, and everything would have assumed a rather strange appearance. Our ability to see colour has gone, so colours are beginning to look a bit muted as well. And as you say, you've got this strange silvery light. This is what you get in the last few minutes before totality.
Well, we saw there shots from Bodmin, from Torquay, from Alderney, all at the different stages. The colours are changing around us as well.
Yes, indeed.
Great, it's
Indeed.
very peculiar.
And of course, in a natural environment like this is the best place to see it, really, because you can look at the play of the light on trees, and we can see now this sort of silvery light. And over in the west there, obviously the moon shadow is fast approaching. It's already now reached the Scilly Isles, so the edge of the moon shadows touch the Scilly Isles. In under 2 minutes it will be here. There's a bird, I think, in the great distance, but we probably can't see it. But all the wildlife, I think, has just gone to sleep. There's no birds or anything flying. Now we're beginning to see the light level starting to drop. Now this is where, over in the west, it's now beginning to get dark. The light level now is really beginning to go down. We've got only a minute or so to go.
And we see everybody there at Pendennis Castle with all the flashlights going off.
And the light level is now beginning to drop like a stone as the moon shadow's rushing in. And here it comes. And unfortunately, we can't see the sun.
But we can feel the temperature
dropping. The light levels and then hush has descended.
That's from the Hercules,
That's from
getting
the
very
Hercules.
close as well. I can't believe this. The light is
light is
disappearing.
really
That's
going.
Alderney, obviously. They've got longer to wait than us.
Longer to wait than us. Now the light level's really going down now. It's becoming really dramatic now. The crescent is still...
And that's Torquay there.
They're
with
obviously
that
behind
sliver.
us as well. They're over to the east of us, so a little while to come for them. But the light level here is really dropping.
We
and
have
you can see the
30
crescent
seconds
shrinking.
to go. My goodness, this is so peculiar.
There's from the Hercules. You can see the crescent is shrinking there.
I
and
really
you can see
have-
how dark it's getting.
This wasn't what I expected.
Now look, over
I
to the
knew
west there.
that
You can see
wow.
it's becoming really dark as the shadow
Complete
comes
blackness
across.
as the shadow rushes
It's racing
in.
towards us now, and it's absolutely dropping like a stone, the light level now.
5
There's
seconds.
totality coming to us.
Oh my goodness.
There you've got the corona. There's a beautiful prominence visible there on that view on the screen. You can see the corona is very spiky all the way round the edge of the sun, and here, magnificent view.
This is it. We're going to enjoy for a couple of minutes the total eclipse of the sun from the West Country. John, not wanting to break a completely magical spell here, but you can
astonishing, isn't
hear from the city the cheers going up. There are people sending off fireworks and
Whoa.
lights. It's just quite amazing.
We saw the shadow go over there. It's now beginning to get lighter in the west. We can see the edge of the moon shadow, the trailing edge now coming up. Totality is almost over, and now it's beginning to get lighter. It's beginning to get lighter around the horizon now. Shadow moving off towards the east. And here we are. Totality is over. The light level's going up now. It's really rising rapidly as the shadow moves away from us. Look at the quality of the light. This golden light that's here. Astonishing light.
And the birds, you hear the seagulls.
The birds have started to sing there.
The seagulls stopped and they're coming back
again. They just started to sing there as it came back. And here the light level rising very rapidly. Well, we've spent just under 2 minutes in the shadow of the moon. The lighting levels were incredible.
We can see there the shot from the Hercules again, John.
Obviously the eclipse is over there too, the moon now moving off the sun.
Hello to everyone down at Pendennis Castle, sharing in this monumental experience. And back to the Hercules, up above the cloud cover, seeing what's happening. And I think we're going to cross to the Channel Islands. Yes, there we are, Alderney, where I think obviously they're approaching things that we've just experienced.
Indeed they are. Indeed they are. They still obviously have a lot of cloud there too. But the middle of the shadow was really dramatic. The colour of the light was astonishing. That's astonishing.
That was something I couldn't quite believe. The speed with
Yes.
which everything happened, plunged into darkness.
Absolutely.
And then suddenly light again with a glorious horizon
colour. And that goldeny light as the sun came out again. Beautiful.
So I have to ask, how was it for you as a veteran of these experiences?
Well, it's completely different. I mean, I have been totally clouded for an eclipse before, but I've never seen the drama of the shadow and the mid-totality as I have here. I shall remember Truro for these things.
I have to say, I am shaking. You had told me, everyone had told me what the experience was going to be like, and when it came to it, I thought, this can't be real, it can't happen like this.
It's
and
astonishing.
everything went quiet with people just totally amazed by what they're experiencing. John, thank you very much. I shall remember Truro as well.
Good,
that
I hope
was,
so.
as they say, an experience of a lifetime. Absolutely. We've had a wonderful time. It's time to hand back now to Richard.
Well, Alison, thank you very much indeed. That was the most breathtaking, bizarre, awe-inspiring moment. It was as if somebody switched off all the lights right over Falmouth Bay. And it's quite taken my breath away. Even though we didn't actually see the sun, the whole sort of doom-laden atmosphere suddenly went dark and very quiet. And everybody here at Pendennis Castle sort of gave God a big round of applause when it was over. What did you think about it, everybody?
Amazing!
It was amazing. It was bizarre. And now there's a couple of people here. You were watching it actually on the monitor as well as experiencing it in reality. Whereabouts have you come from?
Las Vegas, Nevada, USA.
Well, you probably get a bit more sunshine than today.
Just a bit.
and why have you come here? For this especially?
For this, and to bring my daughter to England.
And what did you think about it? It was extraordinary, wasn't it?
Amazing. It was so eerie, and England, it was clouds, and rain is such a treat for me because I'm from the desert.
Yeah, no, we get quite a lot of rain. I mean, it was the way that the light just suddenly vanished that was so strange.
Blacked out, just blacked out. And the photography over there, all the flashes going off, it was like fireworks.
Well, we did actually have fireworks, didn't we? As the light suddenly vanished, we could see all the flashlights going on over there on the beach. What is everybody Oh, there you can actually see the sun up there, just peeping out from behind the clouds. Can you get the shot of that? We can just see it.
Almost got it.
Just peeping out there from behind the clouds. Let me now cross over to HMS Shetland in Falmouth Bay and Sarah Lillicramp, who's over there.
Out here at sea, it was absolutely incredible. It happened so suddenly and so silently. The horizon just disappeared. Suddenly it was like a row of lights being switched on as it gradually came towards us. There's several thousand boats out here now. We could see every one of them lit up. It was beautiful.
Thank you very much indeed, Sarah. Now, let's see what's happening on the Hoe in Plymouth.
Tom. Of course, we've heard that pagans regard the eclipse as very significant. We've even had Native American replica villages treating this as an almost religious event. But to get the Christian point of view, I'm joined now by Canon Peter Larkin from Plymouth. How did you feel during that?
Well, the whole thing was quite awesome. I was really, I didn't expect to feel quite so emotional, as it were. It just went so dark all of a sudden. And I've got little Anna, our granddaughter, with me. Anna, how old are you?
How old are you, Anna?
Anyway, well, she's one. She's one, and she'll be nearly 93 for the next total eclipse in the UK. And I kind of wonder what the world will be like then, and what sort of darknesses will be coming upon us in the meantime.
We've heard that primitive religions, pagan religions, think it's an event of great significance. What about the established church? How do they view it?
Well, I think Christians really... There's Anna, yes, on the television, and Grandpa as well. And I think that Christians really just see it as a wonderful natural phenomena. Psalm 148 says, "Praise him, sun and moon." And St. Francis, there's Grandpete. And St. Francis speaks of brother, sun, sister, moon. And just a wonderful natural phenomena from which we can learn.
Going through that, I can believe that a primitive man would have believed that the world was about to end. Do you think the people here on the Hoe, thousands, right in the middle of the fairground, are they going to get that gut-level spiritual feeling?
Well, I think there was some sort of sense of something mysterious, but the world hasn't ended so far, and I think that there's a great sense of the light coming back again. The darkness has not overcome the light, as John says in the Christmas Gospel.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us. We're off to Torquay now.
Has been made of the... We invited along Lolly, the cockatoo, and her keeper Neil Vaughan from the Sholden Wildlife Trust. Neil, how did she react?
Well, she's quite weird actually. She settled down just as it was coming towards totality. She settled down as if she was going to sleep, and then during totality...
Right, we've seen lots of sun there from Torquay. The skies have brightened up here once again in Falmouth. Let's go over to Alison and Dr. John in Truro.
Yes, and we have actually, look, we can see it there, a much clearer view than we've had the whole time.
Yes.
A great deal of excitement amongst all our experts here, so that as well has made it worthwhile for everyone.
Yes, I mean, immediately totality ended, we got several minutes where you could see the partial eclipse beginning again as the moon moves away, but it really was an astonishing experience here. Even though the sun wasn't clear during totality, the fall in light level, the quality of the light, the darkness was dramatic. All the street lights came on down in Truro. The seagulls woke up at the end of totality as that lovely golden yellow light came back. It was quite dramatic.
That's our scientific camera there showing you what we can see at the moment. Of course, everybody, the temptation, of course, all of the things that we've known about viewers and looking safely, you can't help but want to look, and you have to be very careful, don't you? Not to gaze up at the sky in the wrong way, but it has been totally amazing. I had to say that I think for many people here, as well as it being professionally a very dramatic experience, it seemed to be quite a spiritual time
indeed.
as well.
It is.
A silence amongst everybody as we just all
There is an
experienced
awe that everybody feels about a natural event you can do nothing to control, but is a wonderful experience for everybody. It's lovely to share it with so many people as well.
Well, that's right. It was wonderful to feel that and to hear the cheers
Yes.
coming from the city, which amazed me. We have actually got some people here who I know sort of enjoyed that experience up here with us. What were your feelings while it actually happened?
It was awesome. It was awesome. It's just the lights went out. A completely powerful experience. Sent shivers down my spine. It was excellent.
Yes. What did you feel about it? Was it what you were expecting?
Yeah, but one time it went really cold and it was really eerie and weird.
Yeah, well, we can see there the pictures of that total eclipse. That was what was making us feel so eerie and weird. And what can we actually see at the moment there, John?
Well, we're seeing the sun's outer atmosphere, the corona, and it's a very, very spiky corona. There's lots of streamers in it. It looks quite beautiful. There are a number of prominences, the so-called red plumes of gas rising around the edge. You can just see there. It's a beautiful sight, and the sort of view we wish we had here.
Scientifically, how important was today in terms of eclipses? Are there others which have been more important, or will we have learnt a lot today?
Well, scientists elsewhere with clear views will have obviously been doing their experiments and will have learnt a lot. But I think the main thing for the people here is not so much one about science, it's about a shared experience of one of nature's greatest spectacles.
So for you, what happens next? Are you going to head off to Africa for the next one, or are you going to
I think
have...
there are lots of people here who will think that was a marvellous experience. I'd like to see more. How can we get to Africa in June 2001? And I think that a lot of these people are going to be there.
Absolutely.
And maybe a lot of your viewers in the West Country area will want to see another one.
And you'll all be sitting there tonight with your tales of what you felt and what
Yes,
happened
we
and
will.
who got the best photos and who recorded the things for posterity in
But
the
the
best
gentleman
way.
there, I think, summed up everybody's feelings. It is a feeling. It does send a shiver down your spine.
That's it, I think, from us now. And now we're going to head back, I think, is it to Pendennis Castle and Richard? Let's hope so. Well, we've had a wonderful time, and of course we'll be speaking to everybody later in the day.
That's it, back to Falmouth. Thank you, Alice. Looking forward to seeing you back here a little bit later on. Well, I still feel quite overwhelmed by it. It was the most awe-inspiring, breathtaking moment in history, I suppose, and it's not going to happen again for another 90 years. I don't know about you, but I'm not, frankly, expecting to be around for that one. So this was it for my lifetime as regards eclipses. I do hope that we've brought you the atmosphere and really the feeling of the event as it's been experienced by tens of thousands, indeed hundreds of thousands of people here in the West Country. We are back on the air at 12:15 and also at 5 to 1. Now let me leave you with pictures of the Eclipse 99 from all of us here in Falmouth. Bye-bye.
Kiss, 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 kiss. That's more like it.
Wadworth 6X, sponsors of Eclipse.
There were a lot of pictures that came into our studio centre that we didn't have time to show you. So tonight we'll put all the best bits together in Eclipse, the clearest view at 10:25. But coming next, a festival of music with a videotech special.